Unit 2, which is the media economics. The Unit 2 of your media management syllabus is media economics. So, in that, today's session is media structure, features of media economics, types of market systems, and media market. These are all the topics that we are going to cover today. So, in media economics, what is the role of economics in media? Because as we have seen in the last class, media has become a business. When it has become a business, it has entered into the market. When it has entered into the market, when the concept of mass manufacturing comes in, when it becomes the mass manufacturing or mass production thing, because of reaching to many people, invading, exploring into the new lands and new routes. Okay, now I am tracing back the history of the marketing and the business, how it has come. Okay, so likewise it has become a business and it has become a market. So if these market and business involves economics, and media is being an business entity, the media also involved with some economics. What we are going to see in our media management module paper is basic ideas and basic concepts in media economics. In that, the first topic for today is media structure, different media, how media is structurized. As you all know, print media, electronic media, and what are the different features of media economics. Economics involved in many fields, and when it comes to media, what are the features or distinctive features, and types of market systems. What are the different types of, when it becomes a market, then we have to compare the media with the market and different types of market system and what is media market. So this class will be an introductory session for all these topics that I have mentioned here. So after completion of this, excuse me, oh, sorry. Wait. After completion of the session, you learn about media structure and its various economic scenarios and the distinctive features of media economics, various types of market systems, and what is media market, just an idea. With this, we get into the topic of today, media economics and media as a structure and system. So this particular topic provides an overview of the main features of media economics and the typical system of regulation. Regulation is, that is in the part of governance, how it can be governed in terms of economic governance. Okay, there are some governance, it's related to the policy, it's related to the broadcasting and all. Here what we are going to see is the governance. Media economics and system of regulation show distinctive features, and this is not the case for any enterprises or organization or institution. As I said, economics involved in many organizations or many entities or many institutions, and that is not the case for media, because media has its own distinctive features in economics. That's why we have to see what are those distinctive features related to media and system of regulation, that is governance, which is compared with the other industry sectors and other institutional areas. Why this is distinct from other organization or other institute? What is the difference? The key to the differences in both the cases, even in governance as well as in economics, is the key difference is the dual character of media. What is the dual character of media? Media being both a commercial enterprise and a key element in the political, cultural, and social life to society. So there is a dual character of media. It's a commercial enterprise as an organization, as an institution, as a firm. It is a commercial enterprise, and the other side of character of media is it's one of the main element in the political, cultural, and social life of the society. They cannot be left entirely to the marketplace or closely be regulated. So that's why the governance comes, because we cannot leave this media entire to the marketplace for such other organizations, or we can't closely regulate because of its nature, that is dual character, commercial as well as social entity. So neither media forms nor governments have a free hand to imply the policy. Mass media can be regulated in marginal or indirect ways by governments. It cannot be closely regulated medium. It can be regulated in marginal or indirect ways only by the government, as what we have seen in the television production. Various committees and various policies developed by different governments and various committees appointed by the government has recommended their what you say, the policy guidelines in terms of operating. So for regulating the media, now I want to just recall uh, one of the thing that we discussed in that television production mass media policy is, after emergency, Indira Gandhi came to the power. She felt that there should be some sort of regulation or control over the media, then media, uh, television and radio, to imbalance the uh, elements or message created by the free press. So the governments has recommended, appointed various committees to regulate. So what here telling is mass media can be regulated in marginal or indirect ways by governments. Just a recall of various committees and various policies developed by the government. The forms of governance are extremely varied. Here governance means regulation. So internal governance and external governance, informal and as well as formal, and different forms of regulations are applied to different technologies of distribution. Now we are in, as we are in the different forms of technologies are available for distribution channel. So the forms of governments are rooted in the history and political cultures of each society. So that's why every now and then the committees have been appointed, and there are various amendments and changes in the regulation because of the history and political culture and the different technologies that involved in distribution of this mass media. So what the essence, cultural and social life. Ramdev, uh, let me finish the whole presentation. Yeah, if you have any questions, just post it on the chat by items. I will be addressing your question one by one after finishing the class. Is okay?
Okay, sir.
Is okay?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Ramakrishnan has posted one question. Sir, how to distinguish cultural and social life of society? Uh, I'll address the question after finishing the session. Is it okay? Okay. Thank you. So because why no? The essence of the presentation, the crux, I will present the thing, then we will come to the points. No, I am not telling you don't post any questions. If you have any questions that is arising up when listening to this, attending this class, just post it, or you write down somewhere, or just put it on the chat box. We will address the question one by one after finishing the class. Okay. So the forms of governance varies. When coming to the our concentration and the core concentration for this session and for this class is the economic concept in media, economic principles of media structure. What are the different economic principles of media structure? Different media markets and source of income. So, according to Robert George Pickard, who is an American writer and scholar, is one of the leading experts on media businesses and media policy economics. And he is considered as the father of media economic studies. He has taught at both Harvard University and University of Oxford. This is a brief bio of Robert George Pickard. According to him, a market consists of sellers that provide the same good or service or closely suitable goods or services to the same group of consumers. That is what, according to Robert George Pickard. A market consists of sellers that provide the same good or services or closely suitable goods or services to the same group of consumers, according to Robert George Pickard. In general, if you want to define what is a market in general, markets can be defined according to place, people, type of revenue, and the nature of the product or service. Have you got this idea of a definition for market? Yeah. According to, markets can be defined according to the place, people, type of revenue, and the nature of the product or service, where you have to go back and see the history of marketing is just the distribution channel. When this distribution channel came is after the land attaining, exploring into a new land, venturing into a new people needs and the customer needs. So the market can be defined by the place where you're going to sell your product, the people whom you're going to sell, and the type of revenue and the nature of the product or service, we can define market. And a more fundamental line of economic division in the media business is between the consumer market for media products and services and the advertising market in which a service is sold to advertisers. As I said, no, this is also one of the dual functioning of a media market. You see, any media market, when you take it for economic division, media business is between two things. What? The consumer market, the customers, or the viewers, or the readers, or the listeners. So the media business is between the consumers, that is viewers, readers, or listeners, for the media products. Product is the television programs, radio programs, and newspapers, news articles, news stories. And what is the next one? The services and the advertising market, where the services, the advertising service is sold to the advertisers in the form of access to the audience. As you remember, if you remember, marketing media is not only meant for marketing. That's what we have discussed in the last class. Media is meant for not only marketing. It has its own language, and it has its own agenda or functions to perform with the society, with the target audience, information, entertainment, everything. In that, marketing and advertising is a part of media. So the second, the economic division in media is the advertising market, where in which a service is sold to advertising in the form of access to the audience. So to put it in a simple term, two things for a media: consumer market for media products and services, and the advertising market, which is service to sold the advertises in the form of access to the audience. As I said, no, to define media as a business, you have to see it in a two perspective. One is the advertiser's perspective, and the other one is the target audience perspective. So this feature of media economics relies on two different source of revenue. There are two different source of revenue for any media. One is from the consumer, the viewers, if it is television, readers, and the other source of revenue is from the advertisers. So the features of media economics relies on these two different sources. One can note within the consumer market, there is another division. If you take a consumer market, the market is between the one-off product. They used to say as one-off product like books, tapes, videos, and newspapers, which is sold directly to consumers. Yeah. Selling newspapers sold to consumers, and that for continuous media like cable. Okay, yeah, I want to mention here is the one-off product: book, tape, video, and newspaper. Why they are known as a one-off product? No, one-time selling product. It is not like the internet, new medium, or the television broadcasting. So video tapes or videos, books are the one-off product. In fact, there are other source of incomes beside these two mentioned. Okay, other source of income for media. What are the other source of income? It includes sponsorship, product placement, and public relation activities also. So this is the main concept of the economic principles of media structure being a dual. It's not like it's a dual medium to serve both the content to the, as Ramakrishna mentioned, the content to the audience and the the functions to the advertisers who want to do. And the second feature for principle of media structure is advertising versus consumer revenue. The difference between the two main source of revenue is direct product sales and advertising. It's an important tool for comparative analysis and for explaining the media features and trends. The distinction between these media types, some media are rather unsuitable for advertising. As I mentioned, that one-off media, video tapes, books, I said it as one-off media. No, they are sometimes it won't be unsuitable for advertising, while others can operate in the markets like television, radio, newspapers, magazines, and internet. There are some advertising. There are some advertising revenue only media with no consumer revenue. For instance, you heard about some free newspapers, promotional magazines, and there are few television channels which are open free channels. Those channels are considered to be the advertising revenue only media. So those channels run only on the advertisers advertising revenue and with not with the consumer revenue. As I mentioned, free newspapers, magazine, promotional magazines, and few television channels are there. Advertising based media are accessed according to the number and type of consumers. I said no, advertising based media are accessed according to the number and type of consumers, who they are, where they live, reached by particular messages, circulation, readership, and reach or ratings. Okay, when we are concluding at the end of this session, no, you will be knowing the answer for these questions. Will give you the definition for marketing and as well as media marketing, who they are, where they live. So it's the media, advertising based media are accessed according to the number and type of consumers. The market performance of media content that is paid for directly by consumers is assessed by the income received from the sales and subscription to services. So that is the other aspect of media, the consumer revenue. So advertising versus the consumer revenue, these two things are the implications in media market. Ratings of satisfaction and popularity may be relevant to both markets, but they won't count for relatively more in the consumer income in the market. It is not like the channel which is having more subscribers or more viewers will end up in the result to give more advertising. So that is one of the implication where you have to look into the advertising versus the consumer revenue in media market. Performance in one market can affect the performance in another where a medium operates in both. For instance, an increase in newspaper sales, that is producing more consumer revenue, can lead to higher advertising rates, provided that increase does not lead to lower than average level of the socio-economic composition of the population, with a reverse effect on an unit advertising rates. What they're trying to tell is, increase in newspaper sales will increase in higher advertising rates, as for television depending on the TRP they are calculating, and for newspapers the readership. It is also clear that difference of revenue base can lead to different kinds of opportunity and also vulnerability to wider economic circumstances. So that is why it is very important to look into this media economics in a media organization. Media that are highly dependent on advertising are likely to be more sensitive to the negative impact of general economic downturns than media that sell. So for usually the low cost products selling to the individual consumers. So this, I think this is enough for knowing the media economic structures, different, what do you say, different media markets and source of income for media, and the implications in the advertising and consumer revenue. So these things are important to note down for a media in an economics perspective, or if you want to see the functions of economics in media. Going to next, media management, the distinctive features of media economics. So let's just understand some typical features of economics of media, which distinguish them from other kinds of business. So what are the distinctive features of economics of media which distinguish from the other kinds of business? First, we have to understand media are typically hybrid or mixed in character. It operates in a dual market. What is the dual market? Selling a product to consumers and a service to advertisers. This is the answer for Ramakrishnan's question. It's a dual market. So this is one of the distinctive features of media economics. It has to sell the product to consumers and service to advertisers. So this is the dual character of a media market. They are extremely diversified in terms of the type of product they sold and the range of technologies and organizational means of distribution. The type of product is for the consumers, that is the viewers or readers, users, and the technology and organizational means for distribution is for service to the advertisers. Secondly, media cost structures. The media cost structures are characterized by high labor incentives and high fixed costs. Although both dependencies are diminishing as a result of technological change and media expansion. Because of media expansion and technological change, technological development, these things are changing. So media cost structures are characterized by high fixed costs. And the third feature is high degree of uncertainty, which refers and also the uniqueness of the product, which high degree of uncertainty refers to the consumer evaluation. What you mentioned, the consumer evaluation, because it is still difficult to predict audience taste for music, films, or books However, much manipulation through publicity is tried. That's how, that's where the scope of market research comes in, because one of the feature of media is it has a high degree of uncertainty, and that is it is very difficult to predict the audience taste for music films before for example, for instance, before corona, the viewing or media using habits was totally different after and it is totally different during this corona period. So it is difficult to predict audience taste for media usage. What I mentioned is the music, films, or books. It's very difficult to know the taste of people. So here comes the scope of doing market research, knowing the two things to do market research. One is to know the effectiveness or the impact of the message or the advertising that you broadcasted on the your media. That is one aspect of knowing with market research. The other thing is to know the pulse of the audience or the customer or consumer and what they expect, not only from the product and the message from media. So fourth, the next feature is standardization. Many media products can be easily differentiated on a day-to-day basis and can rarely be repeatedly sold in exactly same form. So the standardization is one of the uh, important feature which works in a media product, because media is an organization, and the product has a unique feature of having the creative characteristics. We can standardize the media products which can be easily differentiated on a day-to-day basis, basing on receiving the pulse or the audience or viewers perspective. Next feature is media seem has a tendency of concentration. So I mean, this is one of the important feature for media when compared to any other business. This may happen because of the advantages of monopoly control of advertising markets are so evident. And the next media feature is hard to enter without large capital resources. This is also one of the important feature of media economics. Uh, it's very hard to enter without large capital resources. Many media businesses, at least those involving distribution, are unusually have to face this stage mainly because of high fixed cost and high launch cost for any media. One cannot hope to start up a significant newspaper or a television channel in a small way. It is not possible. Although there are niche markets are available, as you can see the regional newspapers. If you want to launch up a new product or a new newspaper or a new television channel, you can't start it in a small way. But still some some few markets are there which service to the local level, like some city newspapers or some regional newspapers. Media are differently simply because they are affected by public interest. This is not the case for any other business or any other business product. So thus they are not just any other business, tend to be burdened with a considerable responsibility because it's an affected by public interest. While the production and manufacturing oriented business focuses on production and tries to sell products, but media is affected by the public interest. The customer oriented business focus on the need of the customer and produces accordingly by only aware of the marketability of the services or the products sold. So these are the features, what we can say, the distinctive features of media economics, which is not just like in any other business. So So these are all the distinctive features where you can note it down, or I'll be posting the slides. Media are hybrid. Media are hybrid in respect of markets, product, and technology. Media have high fixed costs. It involves creativity and uncertainty. As I said, no, the standardization. It involves creativity and uncertainty. Uncertainty is one of the feature. Products can be multiple used and recycled. The media products can be multiply used. Media tend naturally to concentration. Media business is difficult to enter because of high fixed cost and high launch costs. Media are not just any other business because of the public interest aspects. Like any other business, a manufacturing business focus on the production and selling. Customer service business focus on the service oriented uh, service oriented aspects, but media is not like that. So because it is affected by the public interest, so this one of the distinctive feature to be considered for media. So for what we have seen is the role of economics in media and media market. Now we will move to the next subtopic, that is the types of market system. Before entering into media market, we will see the general market systems in the present scenario. In market economies, there are variety of different market systems that exist depending on the industry and the companies within that industry. So the 5 major market system types are listed out here: perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, monopolistic competition, and monopsony. So there's a 5 major market system types. So let me see one by one. Perfect competition with infinite buyers and sellers. Perfect competition is a market system characterized by many different buyers and sellers. So in the classical theory or classical school of thoughts, we have seen the if you see the classical theoretical definition for this perfect competition is there are an infinite number of buyers and sellers. With so many market players, it is impossible for any one participant from buyer or seller to alter the prevailing price in the market. If they attempt to do so, buyers and sellers have infinite alternatives to pursue. So this is the perfect competition market. Infinite buyers and infinite sellers. No a single participant from a buyer or the seller's side can alter the prevailing price in the market, because if they try to do so, they have the buyers also have the alternatives to pursue, that is for the sellers, and even the sellers have infinite alternatives to pursue. If a buyer wants to change some prevailing price in the market, the sellers have the infinite options to pursue, because there are infinite buyers playing in the market. And if a sellers want to change their product or change their line, buyers have the alternative way to reach the sellers. So that is what they call it as the perfect competition market with infinite buyers and sellers. And the second one is the monopoly. Only one producer with one producer. A monopoly is the exact opposite form of market system as perfect competition. In a pure monopoly, there is only one producer of a particular good or service and generally no regional substitute. So what will happen in such a market system? The monopolist is able to charge whatever price they wish due to the absence of competition. But their overall revenue will be limited by the ability of willingness of customers to pay their price. So even though the monopoly is the only single player in the market who produce a particular good or service, they can't exceed their or increase their revenue price, or they can't exceed the overall revenue because of the limitation by the factor to be considered by the ability of willingness of customers to pay their price. So considering the willingness of the customers paying the price, they can't exceed their revenue. The next one is the oligopoly. An oligopoly is similar in many ways to a monopoly. The primary difference is, rather than having only one producer of a goods or service, there are handful of producers, or at least a handful of producers that make up a dominant majority of the production in the market system. So these oligopolies do not have the same pricing power as monopolies. It is possible without diligent government regulations that oligopolies will collude with one another to set prices in the same way a monopolist would. This a monopoly, the same for a same particular product or service, there will be only one player or one producer. Here in oligopoly, for a particular product or particular service, there will be handful of producers. That is the only difference between monopoly and oligopoly. Next is the monopolistic, which is competition with numerous competitors. Monopolistic competition is a type of a market system combining elements of a monopoly and perfect competition. Like a perfectly competitive market system, there are numerous competitors in the market. The difference is that each competitor is sufficiently differentiated from others. So the monopolistic is, as I said, the combination of combination of the elements from monopoly and perfect competition. What the difference is, how it is differentiated from the others, that some can charge greater prices than a perfectly competitive firm. If you want to know, the example for a monopolistic competition is, while there are many artists, so monopoly, single producer, and a perfect competition, infinite buyers and sellers. While there are many artists, each artist is different and is not perfectly substitutable with another artist. So the next one, the last one, the last type of market system is monopsony. It's only one buyer. Market systems are not differentiated according to the number of suppliers in the market. They may also be differentiated according to the number of buyers. Whereas perfectly competitive market has an infinite number of buyers and sellers. Monopsony has only one buyer for a particular good or service, giving that buyer significant power in determining the price of the products produced. Here, the buyer has the significant role in determining the price of product produced. So this is general introduction for different types of general market systems prevailing in the business. So next, with this, next we will see media. We will see what is media market. So general market system, what we have seen is the perfect competition, monopoly, monopsony, monopolistic, monopsony, oligopoly, monopoly, and perfect competition. Now we will get into our business. It is the media market. How this media market can be categorized and what you say categorized. So media market can categorized by the area of dominant influence. And what do you mean by media market? An area or group of people where everyone receives the same message from the television programs or reads the same newspaper. A media market describes the group of consumers that have access to the same marketing messages. Group of consumers that have access to the same marketing messages. Typically, media markets relate to radio, television, print medium, newspapers, magazines, online newspapers, and since now the internet plays a vital role in the marketing today. So, internet media market is also another medium to be considered for delivering what we have mentioned here. The radio, television, print, newspaper, and magazine has been delivered in the internet medium, internet platform. So, internet media market is also one of the another medium to be considered. Broadcast market, medium, region, market area. The primary factor in establishing a market is location or geography. So, before if you want to describe a media market, the first factor, the primary, first and foremost factor to be considered is location or geography. A media region typically consists of areas that are close in proximity to each other. This means market does not consist of different states or regions, one on the south, one on the north, one on the east, one on the west. If you take newspapers, state-wise. If you take television channel, mostly state-wise. And if you take it in a regional wise, south, north, east, and west. In short, media region consists of the areas that the media publication reaches, which typically means 2 or 3 states that run into each other. A market typically overlaps with at least one major state. If you take, for example, newspapers in North India, if you take it in the location or geography wise, some newspapers have a coverage. I'm speaking about the regional newspapers, local regional newspapers. It overlaps with other state. So media region information is used by the media outlets to sell advertising spots. Most media markets include 2 or 3 states or region like south, east, west, north. For example, in a country like ours, few of the northern states make up one media market. When comparing television media markets with radio markets, there is a noticeable size difference is there, because the television market is big when compared to the radio market, because television market tends to consist a much larger area than a radio market. Because of this is because of reach of radio station tends to be smaller than that of a television station. So that's why media region information is used by the media outlets to sell their advertising spot. So when it comes to the second character or the distinct feature of a media business is to use as a service business for advertisers. This media market plays a major role, and the media region plays a major role, which is used by the media outlets to sell their advertising spots. For example, how this media region is identified, and how it has been charged, and how the cost has been fixed, and all has been done by the market research. For example, Nielsen Media Research, and many market research organizations are there. Market research, which tracks the viewing behavior of individual households that fall within each media market. So that is, as I said, no, before, the scope of market research companies, market research firms, which tracks the viewing behavior of individual households. This will give you the input for defining and describing the media region and the media market, which will be more helpful for any media enterprise to fix and sell their advertising spots. So what they are going to track, these market research companies? They're tracking the information, the data collecting, which includes demographics, such as our age of the individuals in the household, income levels, education levels, and other information about the consumers of the media. So the advertisers can use this information to identify whether or that not the media outlet is appropriate for its product or services. So the market media region will tells you the advertisers to take up this media outlet for their selling, for their as their medium. For example, if a company sells cosmetics for teens, it will review the information about the people and households that are in the media market to see if their target market exists within that media region. So that is how this is, that is why this is important. So defining the media market is very important, and the primary factor is from the location and to the media region, which tells you the demographic and all the information that required for any media market. I think now you all got some idea about the media structure and the importance of a role of economics in media, and the features of media economics and why it is different from other businesses, and the market system types, and just an introduction, brief idea about the media market. We will stop here for today. Just a minute.